I know kids are kids, and
Recording started.
they're really little kids, like 6, 3, and 18 months, and they never do what they're told. You know what I mean? So I apologize about that. Hopefully you didn't hear me screaming. I did not spank anybody. No, I'm not a spanker. I just sometimes lose my cool with the whole um, you need to fix this for me right now. I'm like, I'm in the middle of teaching. Have you ever stepped on a Lego? Oh yeah. I've stepped on all kinds of crazy stuff. I stepped on one thing and like cut in between my toes, and that was horrible. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I was talking about the two projects, right? Real quick, just to get back on topic. So one was that the country presentation. You pick any country and you just tell me about it, right? People, what they eat there, what they wear there, where it's located, weather, right? Talked about weather just a second ago, how it's nice and warm in Utah, in southern Utah, and not so much in northern Utah. Also about the second project is a topic about geography. So you write just about a page paper about any aspect of geography. So today we're going to be talking a lot about poverty because we're talking about Central America. So that could be one. You could talk about weather. You could talk about clothing. You could talk about food. You could talk about, remember, geography is like the study of the earth and everything in it. So there's so much out there that you can do. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. Well, let me get rolling here on things. So right now, actually, let me share my screen real quick. Can you see my screen? Why don't you give me a green check mark if you can see my screen real quick. Awesome. Okay. So if you can see right here, so to stay on pace, lesson 8 quiz would be due today. So make sure you start taking those quizzes. You have 15 quizzes in all, so we're about halfway. We're actually over halfway done with the quizzes. And so make sure you do those, and then we have 2 projects, and that's what you're graded on in this class. So there's not too much, but I want to make sure we get that done. And then also in the class, remember, I put the calendar right here, and our lessons, I'll put them right here. So we have the flipped class on Friday that you'll want to jump into. All right. Now I can't. Something went up with my. Oh no. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm like, I can't find my bottom thing, so I couldn't find how to get back on here and stop this. I know there's something that's. There we go. I always push the wrong buttons. All right, so let's talk about. We're going to talk about Central America. And we're going to talk about a couple things on there because that's what we've been studying now. So there is an Indian proverb, okay, that says, "Treat the earth well. It was not given to you by your parents. It was loaned to you by your children. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children." So, do you guys have any idea of what you think that means? What does it mean that we gotta treat the earth well? It wasn't given to you. Any thoughts? See, somebody's typing. A couple people, maybe. Like the choices we make, what we do to the earth will affect the next generation. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's exactly what it means, okay? So if we are, polluting the earth or not using it right, then it's going to ruin it for everybody else. Yeah, so we want to take that. So that's something we're going to be talking about when we're talking about Central America here today. Okay, let's do a poll question real quick. I got to change your little poll tools real quick. All right, okay, real quick. And I'll actually give you rights to write on the board as well. But what I'm going to ask you is, what is subsistence farming, okay? Is subsistence farming a farming to feed your family and yourself? B, farming to raise money to make money? C, farming to feed the whole world? Or D, I don't know. guess you can do I don't know if you want. Subsistence farming. Okay, we have people on the poll question. A lot of you guys are saying it's C. Okay, a couple I don't knows. We got one, farming to raise money to make money. Oh, somebody changed their answer for I don't know to something else. Maybe they Googled it real quick. All right, so the correct answer is actually A, the one that only 2 people put. And that is farming to feed your family and yourself. Okay, so do any of you guys have a garden out there? You guys have a garden that you work through that the summer and stuff like that? If you do, you are somewhat of a subsistence farmer. Okay, so you're basically growing food for yourself to feed yourself. And that's what it used to be back in the day. Everybody had like the fields they used to harvest, so they had enough food for the winter. So okay, so there's something that's coming along. This is called, on here, it's called a political cartoon. Okay, and political cartoons basically tell kind of a story. So this says the human population growth chart. Okay, and you have billions of people on this side here, and this is the years at the bottom. Okay, and the train at the back of it, it has on here World Delivery Food Systems. Okay. And the train is saying, I think I can, I think I can, I hope I can, I really hope I can, man, I hope I can. Okay, so it's estimated that in 2050 we're going to hit 13 billion people in the world. Okay, so what we've been able to do so far is we've been able to use technology to increase crops. And we're going to talk more about that when we get to like Europe and stuff like that. But everything you eat has kind of been, probably a lot of it, genetically modified a little bit. So it grows bigger. We have more of it. And so some people kind of think that's why a little bit of obesity is on the rise, and diseases such as celiac, if you've heard of that before. Celiac's where you have an intolerance to like wheat, because we've changed wheat so much as we've kind of gone through the process there. But this is really a concern about what if we get to a point where we don't have enough food to feed everybody. Okay, and there are countries that struggle already, but there might be a point where we get that it might not do anybody. Okay. So here's what we look like in the United States. Okay, so this was taken a little while ago, but it's still pertinent today. So it says right there the population in the United States is 325 million, almost 326 million people. Okay, so this is kind of interesting to think about. So every 7 seconds there's a birth that's happening. So somebody's giving birth to somebody in the United States. Okay. Every 12 seconds, somebody dies. Okay? One international migrant, we talked about migrants coming across, comes to the United States every 32 seconds. So basically, every 12 seconds, we gain a person in the United States, and the population goes up from there. Okay? So kind of interesting. Now, the world population, as you can see right here, is about 7.5 billion. Yeah. So I mean, you look at some of these numbers, like China's crazy, right? They have like almost 1.5 billion people, followed by India, and the United States is the 3rd largest. So you can see if we double the population of the Earth in probably about 30 years, it's gonna be crazy. There's already so many people moving in by me right now, houses being built. So you got to think about housing, you got to think about water, you got to be thinking about all of those things that affect when people live here. Okay, let's do a poll question real quick. Why don't you guys just circle this with your whiteboard tools? I gave you access to your whiteboard tools. But this is called a population pyramid, okay? So you have males on this side that are blue, females that are kind of red or pinkish on this side, and it shows a percent of the population at the bottom here, okay? And so you can kind of see the distribution they got there. So according to the graph, who lives to be older in this graph? Can you tell that? So you have ages start here and they go up. So who's older? Okay, so somebody circled female are older. What? Anybody else? Okay, some people put on the pool. They put B. Does anybody think guys live to be longer? Maybe. Yes, no. No. Okay, nobody put guys. Okay, you're right. You can see that line that kind of pops out there. That sorry guys, girls live to be longer than you guys do. Okay. So that's in the United States though. Okay. If this was in like let's say India or maybe not India. Let's go like an African country like Zimbabwe. Okay, if this was in Zimbabwe, would it be male or female? What do you think? Who lives longer? Males. Okay, they got a good question. So you're right. It actually is males. Why do you think males would actually live longer in poorer countries and then women live to be longer in the United States? So one of it has to do with just, of course, genders. There's differences in gender and stuff like that, but usually they have multiple children in these third world countries, like a lot, like 5+, and they don't have very good health care, okay? And so it's very hard. Somebody says maybe because women don't have many rights in less developed countries. Yep. And they're trying to care for their children and feed themselves before. Yeah, that's very true as well. Women don't have as many rights, especially in the kind of third world countries. It's still matriarchal, which means it's ran by men. And so it's hard because you don't get that health care and that kind of stuff that they get, in the United States. So just feel lucky we lived in the United States. Okay, so we go back to that Indian proverb that we talked about at the very beginning, okay? So deforestation, what do cows and rainforests have in common? Cows and rainforests, you'd never think that would be something we talk about together. Cows and rainforests. So as you're thinking about that, so what is happening with cows and rainforests? I gotta explain it. Is you'll see pictures, especially as we go into South America too, because the largest rainforest in the world is actually located in South America. We're talking about Central, but we're going to start getting into South America and the rainforest that follows along the Amazon River. Those are being cut down, and they're mostly cut down because of they're wanting to raise cattle on them, okay? And why did they want to raise cattle? Well, one is they can make more money than they ever have before by raising cattle. And so it has to do a little bit with poverty, not having a lot of money, and it has to do with, just being able to eat, okay? So those basic necessities are not met. And that's why we see a lot of poverty, and you'll do anything you have to survive. If you remember the Maslow hierarchy of needs, where we talked about that pyramid at the bottom, if you don't have food, water, shelter, you're going to do whatever you have to do. So if it's cutting down the rainforest, even though it's not going to be there for your kids later, they're going to do it because they want to survive. So you can kind of see this shack over here that this, I don't think she lives there. I don't know. This is another picture, but it's really sad that you have kids there. Okay, so I'm going to open up your your whiteboard tools again. Here's another poll question for you. So it says approximately how many children are living in poverty in the United States. So we're not talking about Central America, we're talking about the United States. So I'm bringing that back here. How many do you think do? You know, that don't have enough there. Okay, so a lot of people are saying D. Looks like you're just using the pool tool, so it's like, oh, somebody used that too. Okay, and the correct answer is actually D. Okay, so this was taken actually about over 10 years ago, but in 2007, over 13 million, okay, which is 18% of the children of the United States, were living in poverty. Okay, children represent a disproportionate amount of the poor. Why do you think there's more children that are poor? Just kind of a thought there. Why do you think there's more children that are poor? They can't get jobs to support them. Very true. Yep. They can't get jobs and support themselves. And so that's basically why, right? And they start at a young age, and it's hard. And if you're going to, you know, going places hungry, it's hard to want to do anything too, right? It's sad. Okay, so as we're going back to Central America, a total of 43.2 million people in Central America are living in poverty, or are living in Central America, and over half of them are poor. So basically you have about 22 million people that don't have the necessities that they need. And so that's why they're starting to come into the United States, and you have that migration coming, because they're looking for the necessities, right? Food, shelter, clothing, all those kind of things. And then it goes to this, right? A lot of people said, you know, children can't support themselves. In other countries, they start working at a very, very young age. As soon as you can start doing something, you're doing it. They don't have child labor laws. In the United States, you can't work until you're, what, 16? Is that usually the age they let you do that, unless you're working at a family business? So it's really sad that, you know, at just such a young age, that's what they do. They don't go to school. They work all day. All right, that leads us to the very end. I have a little exit ticket for you. Let me see if it's actually on my paste still. Oh, it is. Perfect. All right, so I'm putting that in the chat there. So that just has a little bit about what we went over today. And that's, then we're ending Central America. We're going to be going into South America next class. So any questions, concerns, comments, anything I can help you with before I leave it here?